the last 3 months, because of COVID-19, schools have been shut. I hope that these materials that we present today will be beneficial to students in their final year of secondary or high school.
Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of our government. Today our topic is constitution, constitutional development in Nigeria. Under this constitutional development in Nigeria, we're going to take a look at the meaning of constitution and major types of constitution. And then constitutional development in Nigeria, we are going to categorize it into 3. That is pre-independent constitution, independent constitution, and post-independent constitution. The pre-independent constitution has to do with colonial constitution, while independent constitution has to do with 1960s Nigerian constitution, while post-independent constitution, it has to do with 1963 from Republican constitution to 1999 Federal Republic's constitution. Now, let's look at the meaning of constitution. Constitution can be defined as a set of basic rules and principles or laws governing the rights and duties of citizens of a country. Constitution is a body of laws, rules and regulations that guide the conduct of every members of the society, that is both the government and the governed. Constitution, it recognizes the rules that guide interaction among individuals and way of administering in the country. It states the duties of the government to the citizen, as well as the obligations of the citizens to the nation. In the Nigerian constitution, nobody is above the law, that is the supremacy of the constitution. Now, there are many types of constitution, but for the purpose of our study, we have 2 major types of constitution, that is written constitution and unwritten constitution. A written constitution, by application, is a type of constitution that is compiled, written, published, documented for future use. The Nigerian constitution is a type of constitution that is written and is rigid in nature. Other countries that use written constitution include United States, Germany, etc. And then unwritten constitution is a type of constitution that is not documented. Not that it is not written, but it's not documented in a single document called a constitution. Now the third one, we're going to look at the colonial Nigerian constitution. Colonial Nigerian constitution, these are the Nigerian constitution that were made by the colonial masters or administrators on how to rule Nigeria as their colony. These include the following. We have, number 1, we say pre-independent constitution as we classify them. Pre-independent constitution before independent, that is 1922 Clifford Constitution to 1954 Littleton Constitution. Now 1, Clifford Constitution of 1922. This constitution allows citizens of Nigeria to participate in colonial administration. It is a constitution that brings about elective principles in Nigeria. The features of Clifford Constitution of 1922 include the constitution divides the country into political colonies, that is southern and northern provinces, each with governor. There was a formation of executive council in the colonies. There was discrimination of the electorate based on their residence and income. It embraces Cameroon as part of Nigeria. It encouraged indirect rule of the provinces. So these are the Clifford Constitution of 1922. Now, Richard Constitution of 1946. This constitution was made by Sir Otto Richard to promote unity among Nigerians. Also, it is to ensure greater participation by Nigerians in the administration. It was the first step toward Nigerian federalism by introducing regionalism. And the other features include 1, it divides the countries into 3 regions, that is north, west, and east. It replaces regional governors with chief commissioners. It states different types of legislature were practiced, that is bicameral legislature in the north and then unicameral legislature in the west and southern region. Regional assemblies were also used and were asked to choose members of legislature. And now we look at the McPherson Constitution of 1951, that introduced quasi-federalism. This was drawn by Sir John McPherson to correct the limitations found in 1946 Richard Constitution. It brings about partial or quasi-federalism in Nigeria. The features of McPherson Constitution include it established central legislative and central executive. Each region appoints 4 ministers recommended by the governor as members of the executive council. There was 1 legislative, that is unicameral legislature, called House of Representatives. Native authorities were used in electoral bodies at the provinces. Now we look at 4. Littleton Constitution of 1954. This colonial constitution made provision for Secretary of State to head colonies. This led to the introduction of full-fledged federalism. Now, if we look at in summary, Clifford Constitution bring about elected principle. Richard Constitution bring about regionalism, that is first step toward Nigerian federalism. MacPherson Constitution bring about quasi-federalism, while Littleton Constitution bring about full-fledged federalism. Now, then we have 1960 Independent Constitution. This constitution made provision related to Nigerian independence in 1960. The colonial constitution was made to iron out the remaining issues relating to Nigerian independence on 1st October 1960. The Constitution of 1960 has the following features. It introduces the parliamentary system of government of democracy. It made the Queen of England the chief executive, who was represented by the indigenous Governor General at the central level. Judicial Service Commission was established to advise the appointment of judges at the High Court and Supreme Court. The legislature became bicameral with elected members of representative. It allowed independence of judiciary. It emphasizes fundamental human rights. Powers was shared between head of state and head of government, and the constitution was written, and therefore the amendment procedure is rigid. So that was the independent constitution of 1960. And then we have post-independent constitution between 1963, that is the Republican Constitution, to Presidential Constitution of 1999. One, we have Presidential Constitution of 1979. The 1979 Presidential Constitution was considered as the Second Republic because the First Republic was 1963. Now, it was aimed at handling power to democratic elected government. Retired General Olusegun Obasanjo, the then military head of state, constituted 49-member committee in September 1975 to amend the constitution. This committee was headed by late retired Justice Williams. After a long process, it was promulgated as a decree by Supreme Military Council on 1st October 1979. Now, we have the features of 1979 constitution. Both the president and vice president will be directly elected during the general elections. The principles of fundamental human rights were emphasized. There were clear separation of powers as well as check and balances between the organs of government, executive and legislative. The president, vice president had 4-year tenure of office and could be allowed to serve for only 2 terms, not more than 8 years. The president and governors could be removed from office through a process of impeachment by the legislative house. The appointment of ministers, ambassadors and chief justice will be done by the president and approved by the Senate. It allows for formation of many political parties. The role of the judiciary to interpret laws and punish offenders was clearly defined. These are the features of 1979 Presidential Constitution. And then 1989 Presidential Constitution. The Constitution marked the beginning of Third Republic in Nigeria. It was for the preparation of the transition from the military to civilian rule by retired General Ibrahim Babangida, the then military president of Nigeria. The features are to emphasize, the emphasis was just made on lay down on the creation of administration and local government in Nigeria. It encouraged presidential system of government. Legislators were made to receive only sitting allowances so as to reduce the cost of running legislature in Nigeria. The qualifications to hold national or state elective offices like president, governors, and legislators was a minimum as senior secondary school certificate. The minimum age for those posts were 35 years for president, 30 years for governors, and 25 years for legislature. The electorate were given the power to recall any legislature who no longer enjoy the confidence of his or voters. It also allowed only 2-party system against multi-party system in practice before. Now, the 1999 Presidential Constitution. This was the reversal version of the 1979 and 1989 Constitution to suit the Fourth Republic. It was the birth of Fourth Republic. It was meant to address the current challenges and aspirations of the country in the 21st century. It was developed during the tenure of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The features are to support presidential system of government. It allows practice of multi-party system in Nigeria, unlike the 1989 Constitution. It encourages respect for fundamental human rights, stipulate that the person contest for post of president of Nigeria must be 40 years of age and above. It embraces the principles of federal character in the appointment of posts in the national level. It also has allowed members to serve 2 terms for elective offices. So this is an evaluation guide for you. 1. Define constitution. 2. Explain 2 major types of constitution. 3. Discuss the constitutional development of Nigeria, that is pre-independent constitution, independent constitution, and post-independent constitution. Thank you for watching. Keep watching our program. Stay safe. See you in the next episode. Thank you.